Hey guys, how are you? So here we are. It is September 24th, right? Yeah. So I'm excited. Let me fix this. As you guys come in, let me know that you're here. I'm going to invite a couple of people just because I know you don't want to miss this. So if you're here, then that means that you know without a doubt that you're supposed to write a book. That's what we do in here. This is what we're talking about. And you may have hit a roadblock. So, again, as you guys come in, let me know that you are here. Say hey. Hey, Gemma. I love your haircut so very much. Hey, Sharice. Okay, so here we are. I'm glad that you guys are here live. If you're catching this on the replay, hit me with a hashtag replay. Let me know that you're on the team replay. If you have questions, even if you're watching the replay, drop them in the comments. I love questions. Hey, Judy. I love questions because they further the conversation. Let me just make sure my phone doesn't do anything weird while we are working because we are going to put some work in you. Okay, so as you guys saw from the invite, this is a private event. Hey, Tanya. And I want to talk to you guys about what's holding you up from getting your book done. This is what I do all day long. I talk to people about the things that they have allowed to stop them from writing their books. And I had someone tell me the other day I was the queen of analogies. And the reason I think I became that person is because different people need a different scenario to really make things just click for them so that they can get out of their own way, so that they the things that they've adopted as truth, they can push those out. So here we go. First of all, I want to let everyone know I'm specifically talking about, in this sitting, I'm talking about nonfiction. I do write fiction also, but for the purposes of this training, I want to be very specific because I want to help you in this sitting. I won't take all day. I know some people, if you have joined on your lunch, I don't take that lightly. So let's get to it. And feel free to ask me questions. I'm going to try to watch on my phone too, because sometimes Facebook recently it's doing some funny things, so I can't always see the comments. But do me a favor, if you can hear me loud and clear and everything is fine, put a 1 in the comments. Let me know you can hear me loud and clear. And hey, Avis, let me know that you can hear me. So let's get into it. One of the things I really want to talk to you about is the clarity around your messaging. I have several business owners in here. I have several people who are speakers and people that are coaches, consultants, and all of that. And so you know that communication is very, very important, right? It's very important. So I see some people saying they can't hear me. So if you can hear me, give me a 1. Okay, I see you, Gemma. Okay, good, good, good. It is early for you. Like, I know where you are, Avis, but I always throw off the time. So tell me what time it is where you are. Okay, so messaging is so important. Communication is important overall. Communication is the key to either the rise or the fall of systems, communities, governments, relationships. 3:04 a.m. Okay, so I won't keep you long because you should be asleep. I know you should be. And so with communication, the most important facet of communication is not necessarily that you're right, but that you're clear, right? When we think about conversations, especially when you have opposing viewpoints. Hi, Colleen. As you come in, let me know you can hear me. I'm so glad you guys are joining me live. So going back to that, communication, often we think about communication is about us being right. It's about us proving our point. And to a certain extent, that's important. But the most important thing is that you are clear on the thought, the theme, the lesson that you're presenting. Because if you're unclear, then the person that you're trying to pour into or pour out to, they're going to be even more confused than you, right? So message clarity is very important. before you sit down and start the endeavor and the commitment of writing a book, your book, get crystal clear on the message in your book. Don't just, they call it pantsters, don't just dive into it and start writing and see what happens, because you're going to lose motivation. That's the honest to God truth. Been there, done that, didn't even get a cute t-shirt. When you sit down and you just say, I'm going to write a book, and there's no rhyme or reason, it's like getting in your car and saying, I'm leaving, but where are you going? Like, either you're going to run out of gas or you're going to get bored and you're going to come back home. Like, that's how that goes. So the same rules apply when it comes to your book. Get crystal clear on your messaging. And I've done a couple of different lives in here talking about how to do that. So I won't dive into the specifics of that, but I will say an important part of that is identifying who your audience is. Who are you even talking to? The way that you would talk to me about shopping or about tying shoes is very different than how you would talk to a 6-year-old. So make sure that you don't fall into that ego trap that I told you guys about a couple of weeks ago, that whole my book is for everybody. It's not. You are a specialist. You were designed to be a specialist. I'm not going to go see a cardiologist about my teeth. I'm not going to go see an optometrist about my heart. You are a specialist. Own that. It's okay. You don't have to serve everybody, right? You don't have to. You're not designed. Your story is designed a particular way. Your journey has been designed a particular way, and you are a specialist. And above being a specialist, you're an expert at being you. Nobody can do you like you. And own that. That's something that as women we struggle with. And I know we got some guys in here, but I can speak specifically about being a woman. And I can tell you that we struggle with that, owning it and saying, I'm great at this, because there's something in us that makes us feel like if I say I'm great at it, that means that I'm saying you're not. That's not true. I don't know if you're good at it or not. I'm telling you from my perspective, I rock at what I do. I'm amazing at digging into the meat of a story and really helping someone to identify the themes in their journey. I'm good at that. You know what? I'm not good at that. I am great at it. And so that's why I'm here. And so it's okay. It's okay for me to say that. Like, as my daughter would say, she's a teenager, nobody died because I said I'm great at something. So going back a little bit, the part of your communication that you really want to hone in on in your book is your messaging, and what part of your story that you need to really own so that you show up as the expert you were designed to be. When you are designed to pour into someone's life the way that I know that I am, I can't do it. Lives depend on me. Your books depend on me to step up and tell you, hey, you're great at this. Stop kidding around. Stop playing around and stop going small. You are designed to be on huge stages. If I don't do this, you may not get that one word, that one analogy, that one push that you need that gets you out on a stage in front of millions of people. And in those millions of people, empires are built, lives are saved. Someone decides not to commit suicide. Someone decides to chase after their dreams. Someone decides to rekindle a relationship they thought was dead, all because I showed up, you showed up. That's important to me, right? So your messaging is very important. Get clear on your message. Don't just have a haphazard conversation in your book. Don't confuse your reader. Right? That's another one of the reasons that I tell people don't pick your title first. And I know you may have picked an amazing title and it may work, but when you pick your title first and you hold on to your title so tightly and you struggle with writing, you have to figure out, is it because I'm afraid I can't support that title I picked? Or is it because I have a title for a book over here, but I'm supposed to write this book right now? That brings me to the second thing. Once you identify your messaging, right, that doesn't even mean you have to dive into writing right then. Once you identify your messaging, you got to give yourself permission. I say this all the time, but here's the thing. You are not limited to one book in your lifetime. You can write as many books as your journey allows. One of my very first clients, we sat down and we were looking at her book, and I was like, I'm a little bit confused. You've got like 6 different messages and themes in here. I don't know what I'm supposed to focus on. And that was because she was trying to cover it all. Like, she was trying to make it like, this is the catch-all book. You'll never need another book in your life. And it just doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. These are some of the myths that will keep you from writing successfully. Writing is not hard. We do it all the time. Social media would not exist if we could not write. We do it all the time. Some of your most profound posts, you just download and put it out there. Writing your book should be just like that. I am here to tell you, it should be just like that. Gemma, you said I had my title for ages, and then when I first heard you say, I was like, oh man. But the thing is, you had a title with no book. Who does that serve? Right? That doesn't serve anybody. They need the content of your book. The title, and here's the thing, the title helps them find your book. Done properly, it's an amazing resource, and you can make it SEO perfect and all of that kind of stuff, right? That's on the back end. People need your message. People need your message. Oh, Judy, that's a good one. Judy says, what if I think I can't do this? Here's the thing, Judy, you can do it. You're thinking that because you're putting your message in a box. Gemma is someone who has worked with me for a little bit. I saw some other people on here. I saw Tanya on here, worked with me for a little bit. And one of the first things we do is get them outside of the box. Your life hasn't been by a playbook. It just hasn't been. That's most of our story. So Judy, when you are trying to force your story and your methodology and your message into this clean, simple, tied up with a bow, happily ever after, you stress yourself out, right? You have decided in your mind, and I say you, I'm not just picking on you, I'm saying period, when we sit down to write, you have decided in your mind that there's a certain level of perfection that has to happen. Perfection is a myth. Perfection is subjective. That's why it's a myth, because my level of perfect may not be the same as your level of perfect, right? So that's what makes it a myth. It's subjective. It's a fairy tale, right? So you can absolutely do this. I want you to comment and tell me when do you get those feelings of you can't do this? Is it just when you sit down to write? Do you feel that way when people come to you for advice and you begin to speak to them? Do you hear in the back of your head that you can't do this? Or is it only when you sit down, fingers to keyboard, and you say, I can't do this? Tell me which one it is. Perfection has you stifled. Okay. And there's no such thing. Your journey was not perfect, but it was perfectly imperfect. It was exactly what was needed to strengthen you in certain areas. It was exactly what was needed to prune certain people out of your life. It was exactly what was needed to sharpen you so that you can sharpen others, right? Perfection, I wish that it never existed. Perfection is a myth. You cannot hold your message hostage for perfection. Here's the example I want to give you. Can you imagine that you had the cure for cancer? You had the cure for cancer. There were thousands, millions of people dying of cancer every single day. And it wasn't easy deaths. They were suffering tremendously. Their family had to watch them. And you had the cure. Perfection will have you hold on to that cure until you find the perfect box, until you find the perfect ribbon and tie the perfect bow. Perfection will make sure that you hold that box and that ribbon and all of that until you find the perfect mode of transportation to get that box with the perfect bow to the people who need it. Is that how you want to be serving in your life? Because there are people dying every day, whether it's spiritual deaths, emotional deaths, mental deaths. They may be dying physical deaths, waiting on you because you have this cure that you've gotten along the way. Perfection will have you hold on to that life-changing cure until you tie a perfect bow. That's how I want you to think about perfection. When you get stuck in those moments and you're like backspacing and you're highlighting and deleting and all of that, I want you to think of the life on the other side of your book that's waiting. Let me know how that feels when you think about that. Okay. Judy, you say when I sit down to write, and no, not all the time. Okay. So Judy, here's what I want you to do. I want you change up where you're writing. Are you only writing, like you guys see me all the time in my office? Are you only writing in a particular place? Are you only writing via hand, or, how are you writing? Tell me more about that. Because you may need to disrupt your internal pattern of creativity. You may have unknowingly said, I can only write in this space. For a long time, my office wasn't set up like this, and it was actually upstairs in my home, and like the walls are purple. The room was designed to be a den, so it wasn't conducive to creativity. So I would go in my closet and I would write, and I would have to write by hand. And then I would have to translate that into, typing it out. Tell me where you're writing, right? Okay, so we talked a little bit about perfectionism and how it can hold you back. You're writing a book on the grief process. Are you writing a book from the perspective of how you handled it, or is it a breakdown of the actual 5 stages of grief? I'm just waiting on Judy. So as you guys have questions, see Tamika and Judy are hopping in. Ask me questions. This is what I'm here for, because I want to help you get unstuck. I want to help you to get the writing flowing. So one of the first things I said is you want to make sure that you are clear on your message. Whatever your message is, get clear on it. One message for one book. Get clear on that, because you want to take your reader from awareness to some level of transformation. And trying to fix their entire life in one book is not fair to you. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Can you imagine going to every single kind of doctor there is all in one day? Wow. I'm going to give up at some point. So Judy, you said you are writing by a window and you're writing about the 5 stages and how you went through it. What was helpful, what was not. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't know how you outlined. I don't know how you outlined it, and I don't know if you are sharing a large amount of your story. I feel like you are, so I'm going to go with that. So with that kind of leads right into my third point. So first point was get clear on your messaging. The second point is give yourself permission to write more than one book. It's okay. You're not limited to just one book. The third thing is this. Do a teach-all. Don't do a tell-all. So a teach-all, you teach the points and you sprinkle in bits of your story, and you're not necessarily having to recount every moment over that span of time, because that's going to throw you off. It's going to put you in an emotional paralysis because you're feeling those things again. You're dealing with those things again, when your goal is to relay the information and help people to connect with the information through your personal experience. I hope that makes sense. So you have to separate the best part of the meat for your book. Again, that's not necessarily a play-by-play of everything that you went through, but just helping people to understand how, for you, those stages of grief might manifest for them, by telling them, this is how it manifested for me. I didn't even realize I was in denial. I went on about my business thinking everything was okay, but internally I was falling apart. And I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't relate to my kids. My husband and I were at odds. However that looked for you. You don't necessarily have to, unless you have, a snippet, Think about TV and the flashbacks. They don't necessarily tell the whole story up to the flashback. They only talk about or elaborate on the flashback scene because it relates to what they're trying to get us to refer to or infer. Hope that makes sense. Yes, this will be available for replay. It's in here. This is the beauty of this group. And you guys know I love to talk about book stuff. I can't help it. So that's the third thing. And the fourth thing is this. Writing doesn't necessarily have to be writing. Some of my most successful clients hated writing. So how can you write a book if you hate writing? And they hated writing because they had convinced themselves they weren't good at it. There's different types of writing. You have academic writing, you have my specialty, conversational writing. There's scientific writing, and there's even mathematical writing. I mean, they are designed and shaped a certain way to express and again get a reader from one point to another point. So like mathematical, it's like I need you to understand what a logarithm is and how to solve for it and all of this and the other. That's going to be a different type of conversation in a book than scientific writing, because they are giving backstory. They are talking about the technical terms of science and things like that. And then you have academic writing, which is designed to add to a body of knowledge, right? So all of that's different. Conversational writing is just like I'm talking to you. Just like I'm talking to you. I don't have necessarily an outline. I do in my head, but it's not as formal. It's not as rigid. Like I'm telling you guys, ask me questions. Jimmy, you say I love writing, which is why I find it so frustrating that I don't seem to be able to write my book. But Gemma, you, along with a lot of people on here, struggle with perfectionism and really struggle with the contrast of being perfectly imperfect, right? Tamika, you said when you are writing, if you have an activity for them to do, can you include pages for them to write on or limit it to a workbook type? I always say this. This is what I say. Excuse me, guys. Never take for granted that your reader got the moral of the story. Think back to like the cartoons when we were younger, and I'm 39, so if you guys are younger than me, I'm sorry. So think back to like Thundercats and She-Ra and all of that. When they would get to the end of the cartoon, they would say, the lesson today was XYZ. So what does that tell us, boys and girls? You want to do this. I have my authors do that. Maybe not, on that level of elementary level, but I always, always, always say, never take for granted that they understood what the nugget was. Tell them. There's always a wrap up at the end, and in business they call it a call to action. Do a wrap up and a call to action, and that's not necessarily that you're selling anything, but go into, so the lesson I learned in this, and this is what I wanted to share with you, is XYZ. I encourage you from this point, journal out your emotions around so and so, and even if you want to, Tamika, you can include some journal pages after that. It's okay. There's no wrong. Thundercats. Okay, I'm telling y'all, I was Shatara. Like, I'm not the only person that had to pick my character. That's who I was. Okay, so I'm just putting it out there. I just really told my age, like I was deep off in cartoons. But yeah, you want to give them the moral of the story. In the Baptist church, they used to say, you tell them what you're going to tell them. You tell them what you promised to tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. So it's the same thing. You want to make sure that you set the expectation, you share about that expectation, what they should expect, thus the word expectation, and you walk them through it. You talk about your life. You talk about, and you don't have to, like I said, that play-by-play, that's a journal. Okay? That's a journal. You don't need to journal to people. What you want to do is say, essentially, this is what you're saying. Don't do this. I did this. This is what happened. This is why I'm an expert. And this is why I know that didn't work. Now do this. That's how you want to do it. Okay? Okay, good. Avis, you said, as I'm writing my book, answering my questions, looking back at my answers, as I was typing, never take one for granted. You said, see, I told you I confirm. I told you I confirm. Okay. So that's it. Like, a lot of what's keeping you guys held hostage is that you have this preconceived notion about what a book should be. I want to reprogram you, and I want to help you to reprogram, and that your book should be transformational. Your book should get results. That's the only should that you should hold around your book. Your book should take your reader from awareness. I know something hurts. I'm not exactly sure why. An example I gave someone earlier today was about a headache. You might go to your doctor and say, I got a headache. And the doctor's like, okay, where's the pain? Is it more at the base of your neck? Is it the front? Is it in your sinus cavity? And you may not have even, narrowed that down. You just know something hurts, right? So it's like, okay, well, it's more around, my sinuses. Okay, do you feel any pressure around your temples? Blah, blah, blah. And the doctor continues to diagnose because he or she is trying to help you identify where the pain is, right? You are helping them. They know something is hurting. They know they're struggling in their business. They know that they are not reaching back to the community the way that they should. They know that they are supposed to help young girls. They know that they are supposed to help young men, but they don't know how to really, what it's called that they're supposed to do. They don't know. That's where you come in. You help raise awareness. You help clarify. And once you help them clarify, you help them take action. That's what those call to action CTAs are for, right? So get clear on your message. The one message per book, one message. Get clear on the message. Give yourself permission to write multiple books if necessary. The next thing, I should have took notes. The next thing was never take for granted that they know exactly what it is that they should have learned, right? You don't want people to walk away and say, wow, that was entertaining. She went through a lot. He went through a lot, and that's it. Give them something they got to consume, and they got to do something with it, right? You want them to eat and then go work out. You want them to do something with the information that you've given them, right? So the last thing I said was the only thing your book should be is effective. It should be transformational. It should get them results. That's what you should focus on. Don't worry about, oh, it's only 20 pages. If you can change your life in 20 pages, I'll take it. I'll take you changing my life in 20 pages over you giving me some fluff in 500 pages. I will take it, right? Don't fall into the traps of the great American novel. Those days are over. I don't know if you guys have seen, I did a video talking about the publishing industry. The world of publishing that we know today, it didn't start out that way. It still has several of the rules in place. But initially, when it came to books and keepers of the words and keepers of history, it was the monks who did that. They were the history keepers. And so there was a certain threshold, a standard that you had to be a certain way in order for your words to be kept in the history that they were assigned, right? Those days have changed. Monks didn't have to contend with the internet and all of that. And we're in an age of your life is your validation. The fact that you're here today, I don't care if you have not one letter after your name or if you have 17 letters after your name. Your experience has qualified you. If it were not for the fact that you had a story to tell, you wouldn't even be here today. Your assignment would be over. Those are the facts. I need to say that again. That really encouraged me. If it were not for the fact that you still got work to do, you still have lives to change, you still have messages to get out there, you still have people that are waiting. My favorite story is Lisa Nichols. She said she was late to an event and it was her event. How can I be late to my own event? And she got stuck in traffic. And she's like, this cannot be right. I am supposed to show up and I'm supposed to pour into these people, and it's a freaking traffic jam. I don't even know what's going on. It must be an accident. And people started looking and noticing her in her car, and they started parting the way and rolling down the windows and saying, "Hey, we're here for you." She was in her own freaking traffic jam, right? She was in her own traffic jam. And like how encouraged she was that not only were the people there, they were there that massively. They showed up just to see and hear from her about her life and her journey and to be encouraged. So with that in mind, you got a traffic jam to get to. You have a traffic jam that is specifically designed. Your people are waiting for you. And so these myths that you have been allowing to hold you hostage, it's time out. It's time for them to go. It is absolutely time out because lives depend on it. My 911 analogy is my favorite. It's like someone calling 911. They're Googling 911, where's Gemma's book? 911, where's Tamika's book? And it's not popping up. It's like them calling 911 and nobody answers. How horrible is that? I never want to be in a situation where I need help and I need someone to pour into me, and that resource isn't there because they say it's not perfect. I'm just saying. Think about all the side effects we hear about medicines every day. They help this one thing, they might throw some other stuff off. That's not perfect, but they put it out there because it does help this thing. Perfection is a total lie, and it has been holding you hostage for way too long, right? As a matter of fact, here's what I want to do. For if you catch the replay or if you are here with me live, this is what I want to do. I'm going to drop the link to my calendar. Let me get it. Yeah. I'm going to drop the link to my calendar right now. I just put it in. And if you are struggling and you are, I'm going to pin it there. Yay, I mastered technology. If you're struggling with your book, if you're struggling with your message, if you're struggling with the writing, if you are struggling, that word is such a harsh word because I know that emotion. I know how that feels to just be ready to pour out to someone and want to change lives and know that you're called to do this higher thing and just feeling like you hit a brick wall every time. Feeling like every time I sit down, the kids, know that feeling. Every time I try to set time aside, this happens, or this person needs me, or this call needs me, or whatever it is. If you are struggling, I want you to get on my calendar. I mean that. I'm not kidding. I am sincere about it. I feel somebody on this call needs me and they need to talk to me one-on-one. If that's you, grab a spot on my calendar. If you can't find something on my calendar, message me. Let's figure it out. Because the reality is this. I am really good at what I do. I am an intuitive person. I am a spirit-led person. I am okay with digging into the things that make you a little bit uncomfortable that may be holding you back. I'm not a BSer. When I tell you this is what I do, this is what I do. I've had conversations with people and never offered them my services because Spirit told me not to. Because God said they just needed a boost. They needed you to confirm some things. Okay, I'm on assignment just like you're on assignment. I want to support you in your assignment. If you're struggling with getting your book done and you want to get your book done this year, then I expect to see you on my calendar. Hey, Patricia, I'm wrapping up so you can catch the replay. But I don't know who it is, but somebody needs to be on my calendar. And like I said, if you can't find a time that works, message me. We'll figure it out. The other thing is the boot camp. My boot camp kicks off October the 1st. This year is flying by. It's scary how it's flying by so fast. And I know several people are thinking, well, another year gone. No, it's not gone. You still have time. You still have time to save the lives you were assigned to save this year. I need to say that again. You still have time to save the lives you were assigned to save this year. Don't let perfection hold you up. It's a prison that you put yourself in, and you're the only one with the keys. Let me help you. So check me out in the boot camp. On the other side of the boot camp, it's a lot of this. It's a lot of me and your business. It's a lot of guidance, weekly calls, there's check-ins, there's a private container for writing, all of that good stuff, all of the fancy stuff, you already know. But it's a group of people supporting you through the process. That's the other thing. When you try to ride off into the dark by yourself, you get discouraged. The internet is amazing for resources and things like that. But the reality is we're human. We need that human connection. There's nothing like having a cheerleader. There's nothing like it. That's why sports are designed the way that they are, right? So that the fans can interact, so that the players feel motivated. And word count check-ins, they're not as scary as you think. They're not for me, they're for you. There's something that happens when you get the words flowing and you can say, I started at 0. I wrote 5,000 words today. I did 10,000 words. I hit my goal. There's something that happens. It retrains your brain that you can set a goal when it comes to writing, and you can not just hit it, but you can exceed it. That's what we do on the boot camp. That's what we do in there. We build relationships. We really support each other in safe spaces. That's the other thing. I know several people are like, what if someone steals my writing and they don't join programs? It's not like that. Trust me when I tell you, I do books. I've done everything possible to make sure that not only are my authors secure and safe in their content, but myself, because I'm also a business owner. This is what I do. I assure you, it's a safe space to write. It's a safe space to work, and it's a safe space for you to get the support that you need. So the boot camp, I will drop that link also. Let me find it. Yeah. If the boot camp is for you and you know it, and you don't need to have a conversation with me, get in the boot camp. Get in there today, because we start and we're going to go hard. We're going to figure out who your raving reader is. We're raving reader. That's my term. Who are you talking to? That's very important. You got to know, because remember I said, just saying my book is for everyone, it's an ego trip and it's a trap. We're going to figure out who your raving reader is, and we're going to figure out what conversation you're having with that reader, and then we're going to write. Not a bunch of module dumps and none of that, not me passing you off to someone else. It's us in there writing. That's what we're going to do. Get the writing done, because you can't leverage your book. You can't share your book. You can't deliver your book. You can't use your book to speak until your book is written. So this is the first step. And without it, you're just wishing and hoping, and you're not saving and impacting the lives that you should. So that is it for me today. I'm going to come back through and I'm going to check out some of these answers, these questions, and make sure I get people the answers that they need. I've dropped 2 links for you. One is if you've got to have a conversation with me because you're stuck. I expect to see you on my calendar. I will come get you. I will come get you, but I'm giving you the opportunity to put yourself on my calendar. But if I don't see you, I'm going to come get you and we're going to get your book done. I'm not going to let you sleep on your assignment, because then I would be sleeping on my assignment. The other link I shared is directly to the boot camp. Maybe you're like, Tessa, I don't want to have you in my business yet. Let me get a couple days, get my mind right, but I'm going to be in the boot camp. Okay, the link's there for you. Again, though, I know who's supposed to be in there. And if I don't see you, I'm going to come get you. So don't be surprised when you see me in your inbox saying, hello, are we ready? Are you ready to put this work in? Are you ready to get the support you need so that you can save the lives you're supposed to? It'll be me. That's it, guys. I'm going to let you go. I held you longer. I always try to do 20 minutes, but then I get to talk and I can't help it. I love books, and I love the fact that you're here and you know that you're called to do this thing. So Go back, watch the replay. Let me know if you have questions. Even if you were here and you have more questions, drop them in the comments. I'm coming back through. I'm going to answer them. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day.